Hello everybody. Today we're going to take a look at the Boss ES-5 effects switching system. This thing is a total lifesaver for guitarists who are gigging with a lot of pedals and a complicated set, or really a guitarist who, if you just want to simplify things. So let's get right into it. The reason that I had got this thing in the first place was just because I'm playing in this band in Nashville, a guy named Seth Timms, and Seth's a really good player and musician, plays professionally all over the place, and so I wanted to, of course the other musicians are fantastic, professionals as well, so I want to make sure that I'm not messing everything up, so the songs are complicated and there's a lot of fast changes, and so the tones that I need for this band to play this set, I need a good solid clean that's fully clean. I need a mid gain, and I need a that's a mid gain and a high gain, to be able to really get into power chords and solos and stuff. And so you can see on my board there are no distortion pedals, and so that for my rig is a key thing. I've always been an amplifier guy, and so I like to get my tone when I can from the amplifier. I lied. There's a distortion pedal. Sorry, the MXR custom badass modified overdrive. That pedal is doing the mid gain duty in this rig, and so normally I don't use distortion pedals at all, but of course yes for this. Now if I were to have a 3-channel amp, that wouldn't be an issue, but I don't have a 3-channel amp. This particular amp, I like this. It's a Bogner Duende. It's small form. It's smaller than a big head. I use it in conjunction with a 212 with Celestion Vintage 30s in it, and so it's got 2 channels. And so I use the mid gain on the clean channel for my kind of 3rd channel mid there. So let's look at the board. We have a tuner over here, of course, first in line, and it's the most pro thing you can ever do is stop between every song and mash that tuner pedal and get right before anything happens again. Next in line is a compressor pedal, and I use this with my Strat that I play. None of the other guitars. I also play a custom a vintage Icon series, a custom 52, and I don't use it with anything like with humbuckers, even though the Strat has a DiMarzio injector, which is a humbucker in it. I don't know, the Strat doesn't have the balls the other guitars have, and so that's how I end up that compressor with the Strat. And those 2 pedals are running before the input of the ES-5 of the switcher system. So the compressor, I don't have that patched into presets per se. I have that, it's either on or off. I'm either using the Strat or I'm not. And so that's what's going on there. Or sometimes I guess if I just want crazy amount of gain or something, it can add a little bit of gain too, I guess, relatively speaking. And so next on the board is that modified OD from MXR. That guy is patched in and out of the switching system, as you'll see. After that is a small stone phaser, also patched in and out. Everything else is patched in and out. Then we have a Hall of Fame reverb and a Giga delay from Boss delay pedal M. And so you've basically got before the amp, in front of the amp effects, and you've got effects loop effects. And so the reverb and the delay are going through the effects loop, and this is a requirement for me. There's no give on that for me at all. I don't like running reverbs and delays through the front of the amp. I get my, like I said, I get my tone from the preamp and the power amp on this head, and so therefore I don't want to feed it anything except what I truly want in front of that input. The rest goes through the loop. So this switching system makes that super easy. It of course it takes away one of your loops is basically what happens. So you are going to lose a loop out of your 5. You have 5 loops that you're working with. You can hook up 5 devices, 5 pedals to this switcher, and you're going to lose one to facilitate that loop, that split between the front and the back. If you want to run them all through the front, run them 5 in a row. You can get 5. It's of note there's also an ES-8 and 8 pedal switching, 8-loop switcher board from Boss, which has even more features. I just felt that was a little too much for me. I was trying to keep this pedal board small and look at it like, geez. And so the only other thing on the board is the tap tempo. That's this thing, and that's for the Giga Delay pedal. And so as we get into the actual device itself, here's the switching system, and it's super cool. I think it's super cool. I love this little guy. And so basically it keeps you from having to, you can turn all your pedals on, and then you set it up to where you've got presets set for each one of your patches. You'll just have patches that you can bank through 5 at a time. And so the way I have my switchers set up, I don't have this mute, and like this stuff is, you can customize it in the global settings. So I did that, and I customized it to where this button is bank up and this button is bank down. By default, it's not really like that. The bank, like you can kind of go up and it loops on 5 banks. I wanted to be able to go up and down. I want direct control and direct access to get to my presets. So that's how I do it, and I set them up like that. That also kind of gets the you can use this button for a tuner as well. There's kind of that functionality built in. I'm kind of not doing that. I'm skipping that and using my tuner more traditionally in front of everything. It's the very first thing. And so from there, and I'll throw up, I'll make sure to put up a good shot of the back of this thing, so you can see, exactly what we're looking at. But there starts our loop sections. And so for each loop, you'll have then five duplicates with a send and a return, one for each pedal or loop that you put in there. And then after that, you've got your control sends. So you've got even more features. So if you want to change channels on your amp, which again, this is a requirement for my setup because I'm changing channels and switching pedals at the same time. You've got 2 of those that you can send out. So I use one of those lines, one of those control lines to control the amp channel switching. The other line, I use it to turn off the tremolo, which is built into the amp head and is switchable. So I turn that on and off also with that. You can rig both of those features into each patch as needed. Next in line is the expression pedal feed, which I'm not using the expression pedal. And basically that's it. You got some MIDI ports if you want to do MIDI with it. I have used it to change channels on my Hafler T3 preamp, which is MIDI controllable. And it was super easy to set that up to do so. And that's about all the MIDI I've done with this unit. But let's look at it in action. I don't have a shot running of my amp head. That's probably not really necessary. But I'll grab a guitar here and we can hear as I switch. So right now I just have this set to a preset called Clean. On this thing, the way it works is like what the interface, how you set your presets. It couldn't be any easier. It's ridiculous easy. And so the way this works, though, across the top you have edit, right, minus, and plus. Across the bottom you have display, exit, enter, and then a dual function for lock I've never used, a left arrow and a right arrow. And so what you can do, this display button is ever important. There's like a couple of screens you can scroll through. I'll scroll through them here and you're like, what are those things? So you got a big numbered patch and the names are assignable. It's super easy. The big numbered patch, small numbered patch, which fits more text on the screen, of course. And then next in line is this one with these little asterisks. And so and this, you'll turn them on and off with the plus and the minus. And so if there's an asterisk, it's not in use. If there's the number there, and each one will be the same, this will be 2, 1, that will be 2, 3, 4, 5. So for me, I'm using loop number 3 as my effects loop rig thing. And so what happens with that is you end up coming into the front input through the first 2 loops and then out to the input of the front. Then you're gonna end up like coming out of the back of the loop and start the loop again for the next loops 4 and 5 and loop that through to the end of the effects loop. And that's the way kind of that rigs up. You can look that up. It's well documented all over the internet. I might point it out before I finish up here. But so that's how I have my thing set up. I'm looping on number 3. So the MXR is loop 1. The small stone phaser is loop 2. Loop 3 is my aux loop. That always needs to be on if you're doing this. 4 is the reverb. 5 is the giga delay. So really, it couldn't be any easier. The other thing I have to decide for each patch is what channel of the amp I want to have on. So if I go to the next display, that's our effects and what's spilling over. I'll explain that in a minute. But the next page here, this is my C1, C2, C3, C4. And so each of those 2 jacks is stereo. And so I'm using one of those jacks in stereo or mono or something, I don't know, and doing the channel switching on this amp. And so as I go through presets, I can leave that on the screen there. And as I bump preset to the next one, we can kind of see what those guys are doing. And so that would make sense. From preset 1 to preset 2, I'm going from clean sound to mid-gain sound, which is both accomplished on the clean channel. So nothing's going to change there until I go to the 3rd preset, which is high gain. And there you can see that does change. So anything high gain is going to stay like that. And so it's quite fun. And you can see I often do this stuff with my toes, although I'm stuck. And oh, there we go. And so that's how, for example, here's how I have mine set up. I've got clean, mid, heavy with delay, and then the mid with delay. And so you can name them anything you want. After you get done fooling with a preset, you start hitting with the right button. It'll tell you, ask what number, then you go into the next thing, it bounces your cursor, and you can start changing that, and then hit it again, it saves it, and you just give it a new name to your new preset, and how easy was that? So that's my first bank. If I bank up 1 to my second, it starts blinking to let me know, hey, we're changing banks. I go, yep, do it. My next bank has tremolo sounds up in there, so that's like turns the tremolo on in the back. That's built in out of the amp, and so we can kind of bounce. It's clean tremolo, just a mid wet, high dry, high wet, and mid tremolo. And so that's just how I do banks when I set them up. I usually have like number 3 on all my banks be a high gain channel, and number 4 be like some kind of high gain wet channel, because I do a lot of that stuff. And so go up another bank, and this 3rd bank is for one of the songs that's complicated in our set, where I just go from like clean to clean and delay to mid to high to mid delay washout. And you know, it's just easy in that song because it's long complicated, just boom 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 right through the patches. And if I want to go back down, I just go like that, and I'm back where I started. And so I hasten to say that's the Boss ES-5 effect switcher. The only other thing I ever do that's super handy in this little guy is if you go into edit, and that's patch. I'm looking for utility. There we go. I'm going to utility, and there we go. Patch copy. That's super handy if you want to patch, copy patches as you're making presets. 3 exits will get you out of there. And then, of course, the other thing, if you do want to go manual, press and hold that button no matter what you've done to your stuff. I don't know if you can change that globally, but once you press those, that turns on these buttons. That means all my pedals are on right now. That means 1, 2, and 4, 5 are on. You know, now it means all my pedals are off. Excuse me. Still getting over a cold. But so that's all pedals are off. So even if you want to use your pedal board like it's, normal pedal board, you can still get your 5 buttons for your 5 pedals a lot closer, or in my case, 4, or whatever it may be. So the other thing, and I can press and hold that to get back out of there. The other thing that's preset-y about my board, and I'll hit that before I go, is that this giga delay pedal is cool. Get a delay pedal or something that lets you do presets. So this one lets me have 4 presets. So that also makes it super fast, combined with a tap tempo, and you get like a really fast way to dial in delay sounds. So you can hit your patch change for your new song, get rolling, and as you are, bump through into that and hit your tempo, and then just sit back and enjoy the ride for the song. So that's a look at the Boss ES-5 effect switching system. If you're a gigging player and you've got a lot of pedals to deal with, I highly recommend an effect switching system, a pedal looping system, a pedal looper. There's various names for these things, and what I found is this one is awesome. So give it a shot. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and have a great day.